Tired of getting feed to death at the auto auction? Dealers buying and selling insurance vehicles often have slim profit margins. So why give that money to executives trying to eat your lunch? Salvato Auctions offers 20% lower fees compared to Copart and IAA. Stop daisy-chaining sedans to keep the lights on. Join Dan and Peter and make your switch to Salvato Auctions. Please say hello in the live chat. Feel welcome. This is ATI Auto Business. What's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Auto Business, Automotive Ecosystem, where everyone, well, some people, learn more about how the automotive industry really works. Tonight, we've got top industry news and headlines that include automaker losses heading into the billions, dealers versus alliance, franchise law war, and Hertz UVeye customer never again. At the quarter hour, Dan Oscarson, head of global buyer development at Salvato Auctions, will join us and tell us more about the industry, international, insurance, vehicle, salvage, auction, market info, and then co-founder and CEO of Salvato Auctions, Peter Jebson, is going to be with us. So we're going to learn a lot about Salvato Auctions here on Show 401 on Automotive Ecosystem on ATI Auto Business. When I heard that I could learn more about insurance vehicle auctions, I said yes. I want to learn more, especially if there's lower fees and dealers can keep more of their profit margins. That's why Dan Oscarson is going to join us at the quarter hour, and co-founder CEO Peter Jebson is going to join us in about 30 minutes. So if you're watching on demand, you can skip ahead. 20% lower fees compared to Copart and IAA. You see that in the material. We're going to be talking about it. I think we got an ATI promo link also coming up later. You can calculate your savings. And the auction starts this month. In a way, this is a premier announcement on ATI. I say get to know your ecosystem. Sometimes it works. The good, the bad, and the ugly. This is the neutral zone because I am not Sleepy Joe. Now, I do Automotive Ecosystem on Tuesday nights, and you know, it's the show worth tuning into. We know there's plenty of podcasts out there, and we are working on turning this into an AI podcast. So, actually, David and I had another meeting about it today, which is great. You can watch ATI AI Automotive Podcast. There's part 1, there's part 2. In part 2, I asked again, what is the nature of news? I'm so glad, in some ways, I'm glad the automotive ecosystem does what it does. Because is that news? We're going to talk about it. And then on Industry Logistics on Thursdays, I dive further into logistics. We had a Learn Car Hauling Business 101 show, and especially for newbies, and really the show did pretty well. This was just past Thursday. And again, why? I'm a detective. How? When? Where? Why? What? That's what we want to know. We want to know that stuff. We're curious. For example, everybody knows what this is. Okay. So I'm against business safe, boring news. I pointed out again, because you'll find this on like tired, used news or whatever. The shoveling of leadership, we don't do that. We're not doing that. Future of speculative nonsense, we're not doing that. Nope. Awards for no reason, oh my God, there's a million. Job promotions on paper, I just saw another one. Wrong button, Jay. Single digit percentage change. I mean, who cares? Rich executive feel-good stories, no. And sponsorship obvious. That's an interesting one. I'll give it a little ding. Okay. If it's good, it's okay. All right, let's do a news recap. You thought we were in trouble. Oh, God. Okay. All right, I'm going to try to just keep it cool. I'll try to do this monotone. So, he's not in the files. And on South Park, Jesus came down and said, the guy can do whatever he wants. Eat the bread, eat the bread. You guys saw what happened to CBS. Guess who owns CBS? Paramount. You really want to end up like Colbert or ATI? Stop being stupid. You're going to get canceled, you idiots. All right, I went for it. It's like karaoke. You got to go for it. Now, everybody's got a useless podcast. I mean, oh my, you can throw a rock and hit 2 useless podcasts. Because what they want you to, see, this is okay. But this is not okay. And if you see that, that tells you something. That opens the door into understanding other stuff. Nobody's asked me about it. Yeah, right. That is, okay, they didn't ask. Okay. No, nobody asked me to breathe. Even Camp Cupcake doesn't like her. Right, we're supposed to focus on Kamala and Stephen Colbert. Even Joe Rogan, who backed Trump, he says South Park is funny. And stop with the gaslighting. Which brings me back to automotive. More Americans are car poor as they misjudge trade-in math and pile on debt. Ford exec on how long car makers can hold off on bigger price hikes due to tariffs. Ford reports Q2 net loss and predicts bigger impact from tariffs ahead. Ford takes a $3 billion line of credit. Oh, are you kidding? You voted for the guy? How car makers are becoming the biggest losers in Trump's trade war. It's fake news. It's got to be. But in April, Trump promised a golden age. You heard it. I was making fun of golden age back then, too. I knew it. Yet in the time since, the global car industry has emerged as one of the biggest victims of Trump's trade war, with American companies among the worst hit. You don't have to believe it. Nobody asked him to pardon her. Forecast in recent weeks combined $7 billion earnings hit from tariffs in 2025. Stellantis, Ford, General Motors in the billions. But you know what? Carrie Underwood returns to her natural hair color for the first time in 30 years. You know, like those automotive headlines about new logos. That's news. Yeah. Carvana's 10,000% stock rally deals $7.4 billion blow to short sellers. Nothing burger. The Alliance and NADA clash in a holy war over state franchise laws and Justice Department review. Okay, the Alliance for Automotive Innovation has asked the U.S. Department of Justice to examine whether state franchise laws restrict competition and harm consumers. Yeah, provoking a battle with an NADA. Oh, you don't want to go up against them. Now, I realize that the information, listen, if the OEMs started the franchise mandate back in the day, and now they don't like that they can't sell online, I get it. You have grounds for a war, and a war it shall be. A shipping company is refusing to transport EVs due to the risk of fire. Hawaii-based shipper cites the blaze-related dangers associated with lithium-ion batteries. You know, when you go to fly, they say, do you have any lithium, before we pack the thing on the... And Matson, you don't want Matson to say no. I don't know who you're going to go with. But it's not going to be a problem because nobody's buying EVs anymore. The Port of Virginia is a hotspot for stolen cars shipped around the world. Catch it on the True Crime podcast. Or News 3? I don't know. Longtime Hertz customer says he's done after AI scanner flagged water reflection as actual damage. Unchallengeable, automated accusation. What? He claimed that the AI-powered damage detection system Flagged a non-existent mark on the vehicle, even though video that he filmed immediately afterward, he filmed a video. I love that. Afterward appeared to back up his claim. When angry customers sought to dispute the claim, they were unable to immediately reach a customer service rep. You know, because we don't do people anymore. I clicked the link in concern, got off the shuttle with all my luggage, and went back downstairs to inspect the vehicle. That's a pain, by the way. Upon inspection, the customer said he found no evidence of damage. The supposed damage area, completely fine. No visible damage whatsoever. He recorded a video on the spot to document the condition of the car. When the customer's always right? Customer sought assistance at the Hertz location, said the staff was unable to address his concerns. Then what do you guys do? No one at the Hertz location could help. Employees and managers all pointed fingers at the AI scanner. You can just see it. Told me to contact customer support. They claimed they had no control over the damage claim. All right, and that's fair. The customer initially believed to be able to resolve the matter through the Hertz dispute process. The link they send you does not allow you to submit a dispute. Calling customer support, useless. They said they can't do anything, even when I told them I have clear video evidence of the car being undamaged at the exact time the damage was claimed. Make things worse, he noticed damage in another area with a clear sticker the AI didn't even pick up as previous damage. What a joke. If you look below the rear tail light, you can see the giant scratch the AI doesn't even pick up. And see. Now that's Automotive. Super Dispatch to power shipping option for Copart members. Super Dispatch is ready to deliver auction vehicles to Copart members in the U.S., allowing Copart members to access its platform immediately after winning a vehicle to arrange shipping throughout the nation, making the delivery of vehicles more efficient, transparent, cost-effective, and nationwide. To optimize order creation, carrier selection, dispatching, real-time visibility, giving Copart access to Super Dispatch's network of more than 9,000 vetted carriers. The question is, what about the number one load board? What are they thinking when they read that? Why, guys? Why didn't you get the deal? Speaking of deals lost, America's Auto Auction launches a leadership program. Okay, the launch of America's Leadership Journey. That's the name, I guess. A 12-week leadership development program designed to cultivate confident, capable, and people-first leaders from within. You guys didn't already have an auction leadership program? I know I've heard of it. You had to make your own? Now there's two? Oh, boy. Or three, or 12,000. But what I'm most interested in tonight's show, as we lead in, is the international auction seems to be ramping up. South Korea's got a rent-a-car, launching Korea's first one-stop auto auction. Kazakhstan has a dealer conference. Azerbaijan has a new market alliance. Panama, Montreal West, and then even on Instagram. And hopefully we're going to check out a couple videos tonight. Here's a Toyota Corolla video walk around of a salvaged vehicle on Instagram. That's in Nigeria, cleared from the ports. And then Thompson Logistics, he's sharing videos on TikTok. Lots of views. Lots to talk about. ATI is where everyone learns more about how the automotive industry works, and then some. There is an ecosystem. It's up to you. I don't ship cars. I move information. There's a podcast. There's a website. And we have got guests. So please do stick around. Right after this, we're going to be live with Dan, and we're going to learn more about him and the international insurance vehicle salvage auction market. We'll be right back.
Understanding web traffic at your site can be a funny thing. Who, when, why? Then you have things like bounce rates, visit times, return traffic. The point is, you have traffic, but are you capitalizing on all that traffic and why they came to your site to begin with? You may do moving, vehicle inspections, car auctions, custom car building, car clubbing, Quotify is the first online shipping utility feature that helps you to retain the relevant traffic and capture business which is typically just sent away. It instantly allows your visitors to see multiple shipping companies' rates and live reviews with an option to book the shipment now or email it for later. If you have car shipping relevant traffic, then why not swing the bat and make some money along with some other added benefits? The best part of Quotify is that it's free. Yes, that's right. We actually pay you to offer your visitors something they most likely need anyways. So let's wrap this up. It's a totally free utility feature that will increase your site visit times, lower your bounce rates, increase return rates, and we even pay you to use it. Sounds too good to be true. It's not. Sign up today or call now to speak with a commercial account specialist.
Don't lose any more sleep worrying about missing leads. Get Transport Auto Quoter. Quote the right price, the first time, every time. Run your business with TAQ. Visit transportautoquoter.com. All right, here we go. Please do help me wish a warm welcome to my feature interview guest, Dan Oscarson. Dan, can you see me and hear me okay?
I sure can, Jay. It's great to be with you. Thanks for having me tonight.
It's great to have you here. Let's kick it off. Please say hello and tell us a little bit more about you.
I sure will. It's great to be on your show. I spent my entire career in the automotive salvage business. I started just out of college, operating a branch in Houston, Texas for a small salvage company. That company eventually was acquired by Insurance Auto Auctions, and I spent over 30 years in this space doing everything from operations to marketing to global market development. And through those years, I've learned a lot about how the auctions operate, and I've learned even more about the buyers around the world who are buying many of the cars that are sold in today's auctions.
So it's interesting, as we had a short prep, but I said we don't do the show before the show, but I learned enough to, okay, so we're going to talk about Salvato Auctions, but your background is so extensive. I keep thinking international, but tell me a little bit more about, and maybe, I know we're going to talk about, I've got, some items here, total loss of vehicle, sold at the auction. Let's say, let's do it this way. We have car haulers here and stuff like that they haul cars to and from the salvage auction, but they don't really, they've never been a dealer buying and selling. Tell me more about what that kind of auction, how it works, what's involved.
I sure will, Jay. A lot of people look at shiny cars or even cars driving down the street and say, okay, that's great, but as soon as one's in an accident, it gets hauled away from the side of the road and nobody really thinks about what happens to it after the fact. Well, a lot of times it's too expensive with the price of parts and labor to fix that car, and it's declared a constructive total loss. But total loss does not mean no value. In fact, there's still significant value with these cars that remain, and the insurance companies who need to liquidate them are very concerned about recovering a fair market price for those vehicles. What I've done throughout my career is to help make a market for those cars in that portion of the life cycle of a vehicle, sending those cars to domestic recyclers, domestic rebuilders, and exporters. You may not know, but at least probably 35% of the vehicles that are sold by Copart and IAA actually leave the United States. Mexico is a big importer, that makes sense, but after that, there are areas like West Africa, the Middle East, and Central America that all buy thousands and thousands of these vehicles. Excuse me.
So, all right, let's talk about, let's pause for a second on the insurance vehicle, right? Why would an insurance company total a vehicle that still has life in it?
Well, let me give you this example. If you take a brand new car that's worth $40,000 and run it into a pole and puts a nice little V in the front, and let's say it has a $10,000 repair, that car gets repaired every time, 100% of the time. It's 25% of the value, and it gets fixed. But now take a car that's 10 or 12 years old and put the same physical damage on the car. It has a much lower retail price. the cost of parts and labor is going to very quickly meet or exceed the retail price of that car. And so it becomes cheaper for the insurance company to replace the vehicle than to repair it. But people in other countries are very happy to come to the US online and buy those cars at a deep discount. The discount being the cost of parts and labor to put the car back together, and take it to their country where they can do so much more cost effectively. And that's the real secret sauce, is that they're able to still offer a vehicle that's repaired by spending more time on it, more resources than we can afford to do here. And they'll extend the life of that vehicle by another 10 or 15 years.
So walk me through then. So the insurance company still owns the vehicle. They've declared it a total loss. So they deal with the business or person on that end, but they take it to the salvage auto auction and have it sold and recoup some of the financial loss of the vehicle in that way? Is that what they do?
That's correct. The auction makes the market, where we take all the vehicles that need to be sold and we bring all the buyers together who want to buy those cars, and we make a fair market where people can bid, pay a competitive price, and only pay one bid increment above what the next person is willing to pay. It's the most fair way to establish value, especially on something that's not a commodity. Each of the vehicles are damaged differently. And so the market will set the price for these cars.
Right. Okay, there you go. So you've got this whole ecosystem has developed around these insurance vehicles. And I apologize if I'm playing Captain Obvious for anybody out there. I get that. It's hard to bring a whole ecosystem together at one time, but we will get complicated soon. Okay, but you've created this, not you've created, but this ecosystem has developed. How many insurance vehicle salvage auctions do we have in the US? Do we know?
Currently, there's really just a duopoly. I mean, high in the 90% of the business is going to two companies. That's Copart and IAA. Again, I worked for one of those my entire career, and those companies have grown based on the concept of bringing all the vehicles into a central location. And that was exciting and interesting back in the day when people had to physically attend the auction and raise their hand in the rain and bid on cars. But the internet's changed all that, and cars aren't sold in live auctions anymore. They're all sold online. And so people today are able to see pictures of the vehicle, to see a video of the engine running, and to get all the information that they need to submit an effective bid. And so that old way of doing business is changing, and that's where Salvato Auctions is able to come in and do things differently, save money, and do things faster to help both the sellers and the buyers.
Right. You already know the ecosystem. So then you've got the insurance companies that own the vehicles. I'm sure there's other third parties involved as well. Buyers and sellers, and then tech companies, like you just talked about. Now there's all this tech, right? Because you want to make sure that when you're, and I suppose you can probably buy online too. Copart, IAA, Salvato. When are you guys, what's going on? We're going to talk about it's starting this month, right?
That's right. Our first auction actually starts on Thursday at 9 a.m. We have a timed auction, a proxy bidding format. The auction will close Wednesday, the 13th at 9 a.m. And buyers can bid anytime during that window on the vehicle they want to buy. They simply drop their max bid, a maximum bid amount on the vehicle, and the computer will stair step and establish the high bidder through that process. For example, if the current bid is $1,000 and I'm willing to pay $2,000, I'll submit my $2,000 max bid, and the computer will automatically put me as the high bidder at $1,050. If somebody else comes in and bids $1,500, then the computer will stair step the bids, and I will become the high bidder then at $1,550. Again, one bid increment above the next highest bidder. If nobody else bids, the high selling price would be $1,550, even though I was willing to pay more. So it's a fair, competitive bidding system through that proxy bid process.
I also, for context, just want to remind everybody that it was about 10 years ago that this little company called ACV started doing online bidding, and now they are literally a cornerstone and pillar at most large automotive trade shows. So we do live in a world where if you've got something great to offer, you can make a dent in the universe.
Well, it's exciting, Jay, because of all the years that I spent in the industry. Over the years, I've traveled to well over 30 countries talking about the auction and this auction process and to help people in other countries buy cars from the United States. Not only abroad, but also here in the United States, meeting with buyers, attending trade shows, and now really have something different and meaningful to bring to the table to help these people save money on the auction fees and buy the same high quality insurance vehicles that they've been accustomed to purchasing. That you have no idea the impact that these vehicles have in foreign markets, Jay. The car that we look at and say, oh, this is trash, or it needs to go away, or maybe we'll sell a couple of parts and just recycle the metal, that car can be rebuilt and put to use. It puts all kinds of people to work: upholsterers, electricians, body shop, parts sales, transportation, shipping, all the things that go into putting that car back together. And it's exciting now to be a part of something that compete with that duopoly and carve out a section of that business to better serve both the sellers and the buyers through the unique process that we've put together at Salvato Auctions.
I want to, before we bring in Dan, I want to watch a little bit of the video. Let's see here. Let me bring this up. See if I can do this. And I'm not too worried about the audio. I'm going to turn off his audio. But now, I'm guessing, so it's commonplace for you. You see this all the time, right?
That's correct. Absolutely. This happens thousands of times a week all over the world. People are receiving vehicles at the port. They're excited to have our product. They love the American spec. They love buying cars from the U.S. because when they're buying a salvage car, what you have to understand is that cars built for the U.S. market, a lot of them come standard with leather seats or air conditioning, anti-lock brakes, and other safety features that if you're buying a European model or some other model are very different. And so they're getting a lot more for their money. A Kia built for South America, for example, would probably look nothing like a Kia built for California. The specs are different, the standard features and equipment are different, and so buyers love buying that U.S. product. And when it comes in, they're eager and happy to spend their labor and time to fix the vehicle, whereas the cost of labor in the United States makes that prohibitive. But they can do it, and they'll fix these cars all day long and sell them and have, again, another 10 or 15 years use out of these cars that we would part out and scrap here in the U.S.
And to be clear, so it gets into the economics of, I suppose, the country itself, distance from the OEM, the cost of labor to repair vehicles. I mean, I guess if you're in a different market, this is a diamond in the rough.
Well, it is, and again, the big difference being the cost of labor and materials. Like in the example that I gave earlier of the new car versus a 10 or 12-year-old car, a door panel that we would replace, they'll be happy to spend 2 or 3 days with a block of steel and a flathead hammer to pound out that door panel. When it's done, it looks beautiful, and they're willing to put in the time, and they can afford to do it. They end up with a vehicle they can drive for a long time. It's a great recycling story. It's a great story of the lives that each of these cars touch as they travel around the world and the jobs that they produce along the way. It's been fun to be a part of that, and even more exciting now that we can do it in a way that's more cost effective for the buyers themselves.
I'm going to roll another video. It's pretty cool. I always like rolling videos because it's interesting to get context of what we're watching. This gets into some of the social media that you were sharing with me. Talk about what are we looking at here?
You know, a lot of people around the world have adopted social media as their main business platform. A business Facebook account is very powerful. It's also free. People can take a Facebook account like that, post pictures, post videos, do all their marketing, and not have to operate, design, and maintain a website. So social media posts like this are exactly how information is shared. It will attract people who are interested in buying the vehicle. It will promote the services of the seller, this car buyer, the one who buys from the U.S. And it's how they do business. And it's exactly videos like this that attract attention. I met an interesting gentleman one time in El Salvador, and he ran a little business out of a small shipping container. The side was cut out of the door. Inside was a single desk, light bulb hanging from the ceiling, and a water cooler, a couple of chairs. That was the whole office. It was nothing. He had about 25 cars on the yard, and his whole business was on a Facebook page. And he made a good living for himself and his family selling these cars off of Facebook. So social media was extremely powerful. WhatsApp is extremely powerful in information sharing and attracting the people who really need the product to the product that these unique individuals are able to bring from the United States and make available in their countries.
And what's fascinating is that, I was looking in the background, it is whatever. It's right. It is.
Oh, believe me, it's
right.
It
off
is whatever.
The grid, whatever. And yet it is a business. And I think it also just points out, right, in America, and this might be the difference in the markets. In America, most vehicles that are posted on social media are on a lot, right, where everything's, been washed and whatever. And this is literally the opposite. It looks the opposite, and yet, I don't know, I'm sure there's a transaction at some point. And you're right, get the views, it's amazing.
Every country has their own way of doing things. In Nigeria, they will put a water bottle on top of the car. That means it's for sale. So it's just one way that they advertise cars. It's so interesting. And yet they've figured out that these cars that come in from America have high value. They're getting more for their money. And it's able to put affordable transportation into the hands of the people who need it the most. At one point, I saw a statistic in Nigeria, just to bring them up again, because they're a large purchaser of American salvage vehicles. The statistic I saw was that there was one car in Nigeria for every 69 people. I don't know if that's still true today, but the point is that every time you see a car, then there's 68 other people that don't have one. And so there is an insatiable, unlimited demand for affordable transportation. And these salvage vehicles that we sell, while many of them do get sold locally for parts and even to be rebuilt, they are that 35% that leave the U.S. are feeding this insatiable need for affordable transportation around the world, and it's exciting for us to be a part of that.
We are talking with Salvato Auctions, and we've been talking with Dan. We're about to bring in Peter. Peter is the co-founder and CEO. Okay, Peter, here we go. Drum roll, please. Please do help us wish a very warm welcome to get his microphone set, get the lighting and the dolly track and the drone video all perfectly set, because Peter's about to join us. And if you have a question about salvage auctions, insurance vehicles, this is the perfect time to ask. All right, here we go. Peter, can you see me and hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
We can see you. We can hear you.
Awesome.
Welcome to ATI. You're live. No pressure. No, there is no pressure.
Yeah.
All right. Dan is doing a great job talking about this topic.
Yeah.
And we have a lot more to talk about with respect to Salvato Auctions. But before we get into that, please say hello and tell us more about you.
Yeah. So I'm Peter Jebson. I'm one of the co-founders of Salvato. And my background, I'd always worked in the automotive industry, but Jay, you said a couple of minutes ago, like the complete opposite end of the spectrum. That was me, more with the OEMs, tier one suppliers, all of that, getting a little bit into the aftermarket, but never really this end of the life cycle of the vehicle. In 2020 is when I started working for CCC Intelligent Solutions that does a lot for repair shops and insurance companies. In this insurance claims process, what happens to the car after it gets in a crash. So I worked on a lot of things there, but one of the things that I worked on was claims process and the fact that 20 and pushing 25% of claims now are being deemed as a total loss because of all the drivers that you guys talked about earlier. It's a growing slice of claims. There's big business, there's big money and big economic and environmental opportunity on the vehicles, as Dan alluded to a minute ago. And I believe that the game is kind of shifting away from how the two current auctions have built their business. So summer of 2023, I left CCC, started working on what we've built now. And now I'm lucky enough to have a growing team of folks like Dan and others who are on it with me and my co-founder, building our business and trying to prove something good for buyers and sellers.
I'm going to bring up some of your marketing material here in a second. Also, because I want to talk about getting feed to death. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's been, the two current auctions are very successful businesses. They've been able to grow revenue a lot, grow profit a lot. But at the end of the day, that slice of the pie has to come from somewhere, and increasingly it comes from the buyer's side of the equation. And so you can go look at the two current auctions. We have a savings calculator on our page to compare our fees against the two current auctions, but it's at the point now. You even assuming that you're a high volume buyer at Copart or IAA, and assuming that you pay with one of the good payment methods, not a credit card, you're going to pay something like $850 in fees on top of a vehicle if you buy it for about $4,000. So you're paying 20% or more in fees on top of what you pay there. And it continues to go up every single year. And so what we've built and what we talk about is to save at least 20 to 40% in fees on any vehicle at the comparable price point that you would buy it through the two current auctions today.
I feel like saying feed to death is just like a no-no, right? Like, you're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to just say, yeah, charge me whatever you want because I love you guys. And, but when I talk to dealers privately, it's funny what they say. They are just not. They all many of them. I'm talking independent dealers, franchise dealer groups. I don't hang out with them much. They're busy, but independent dealers will constantly say, "I'm tired of the fees." Yeah,
absolutely. I mean that overlaps the domestic dealers here in the U.S. if they're buying Copart or IAA vehicles. I'm sure the auctions for other classes of vehicles have some of the same dynamics. The international buyers that Dan's been speaking about, feel it as well. And especially for the slice of vehicles, the 2/3 or so of vehicles that goes to a parts recycler here in the U.S. or a salvage business, a salvage yard. They're buying at a lower price point, tighter margins, tougher business. We're at the point where saying feed to death is not an exaggeration because the fees have gotten so big, the margins have gotten so small. It is now a question of businesses that are able to stay in business because they're getting squeezed more and more. And we've had messages come our way from folks who are now out of business as a result of the exact trends that we're talking about here. So it's not an exaggeration. It's a really important dynamic, and we're here to try to put more money back on the table where we believe it belongs for the buyers and sellers.
My guess is when you're dealing with insurance vehicles, it's also not as easy if you're a dealer to set up your own vehicle buying center. If you're dealing with salvage vehicles, right, from insurance companies, you really do need more of an auction setup.
Yeah.
Right. So the physical. This is maybe the hard part in the beginning. What are we looking at as far as physical locations and how a dealer interacts with Salvato Auctions here in the beginning? Tell me more about it.
Yeah. So the way that any buyer is going to interact is through the online auction, just like they do with the two current auctions. The big difference in the physical model, I think what you're getting at, Jay, with your question, is the two current auctions are really based on each having just under 200 big locations across the country, a 20-acre, 50-acre, 75-acre plot of land where they store all these cars. And that made sense, as Dan said earlier, when the auctions were in person or blended in person plus online at the very same time on the very same car. And COVID was kind of the final death stamp on that dynamic. The auctions are now 100% online. Just like you're buying Beanie Babies on eBay. It can be sitting wherever. And that model also made sense when the insurance claims process on a total loss would take 3-4 months on average, driven especially by the lien release. If you got a loan on your vehicle, paying off the lender, and then getting the lien released on the vehicle, and then transferring the title, oftentimes mailing titles back and forth, wet ink, signing documents, potentially getting notarized, 50 different states, 50 different processes. Those things are being knocked down through some of the trends in lien release and in title transfer that we're able to take advantage of with our insurance customers to go faster. And so if the processing time is faster on each vehicle, you don't need to bring them all to one big centralized location to sell them. You can sell them where they're sitting or much closer to where they're sitting. And so we physically decentralize the auction through locations like tow companies who have the people, have the trucks, have the secure storage lots to move the vehicles and sell them, and get paid for it because it's new volume, new revenue, new profit for them as well. And so that's the model. That's the idea. It takes inspiration. I'm glad you said earlier, Jay, ACV auctions, because this really takes inspiration from, number one, the trends that I saw and we see today in the insurance claims process, and number two, the inspiration of ACV auctions and of backlot cars. Different class of vehicles, different questions, but that physical decentralization of the auction and using that to offer significantly lower fees for both the buyers and the sellers. Everyone's happy paying a fair price for the vehicle, but no one wants to pay these big fees, whether it's for that class of vehicles or for ours. So that's what we're trying to do and bring to this market.
So in that case, then, do you have relationships with repossession agencies, companies, associations?
We're really focused right now on selling 100% insurance vehicles. So these are only selling on behalf of insurance companies because that communicates something specific to the buyers in this class, in this segment, because it means that the entire rest of the car was insurable and insured up until the moment that something happened to it. And so that's a specific segment of vehicles within this salvage space that we want to stay focused on what we're here to do, and that's to come in and deliver something better for those insurance vehicles before talking about some of those other adjacent classes of vehicles like you're referring to.
Gotcha. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Ah,
so then
okay.
So if a vehicle's totaled by an insurance company, where is that vehicle most likely to be physically?
Yeah, it really varies based on the insurance company's claims process and how they route vehicles for the upfront investigation. But in the market as a whole, probably the two most common places are that it's going to be either at a tow company who picked it up from the scene of the accident, or at a repair shop if it was sitting at a shop to write an estimate and explore the path that this may be getting repaired. There's also always the chance that it's sitting at the vehicle owner's driveway if things have gone that way, but generally for most insurance companies, that's less common. We're going to find it at a tow company or a repair shop most of the time.
That makes sense. And so let's say it's at the tow company or the repair shop.
Yeah.
Who's then in charge of helping to gather the assets that will go into the auction listing? And I'm sure I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm curious.
No, all good. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
So we get the assignment from the insurance company, the adjuster or the salvage coordinator, the salvage clerk at the insurance company. We get the assignment right at the same moment that the two current auctions would get the assignment. We're going to route the vehicle to a tow company that we have covering that particular territory to go pick it up. They're going to pay any charges that are needed on that vehicle where it's sitting. If that repair shop or that tow company has a bill on it, those are called advanced charges in this market. They're going to pay that to get the vehicle released and then take it to their secure storage lot. We're managing them. We're paying them. They're using our technology to take all the photos and intake on that vehicle, the same exact stuff that would happen when the vehicle comes in the door at Copart or IAA. And then it's going to sit there while the insurance claims process works its way through between the carrier and us. Finally, when that title is transferred into the insurance carrier's name, it's no longer Jay's car. It's now the insurance company's car. Now it can be posted into the online auction, sell sometime later that week, and the buyer comes to pick it up.
In that previous 5 seconds, I came up with an ad campaign idea.
Okay.
I don't know if you'll like it or not.
Let's hear it.
A large white button that says, "I love InOps."
Okay.
The reason I came up with that is that I'm looking at the live chat, and I know that in logistics, nobody likes InOps.
Yeah.
Do you guys love InOps? What's going on?
I think it's whatever comes through the door. You'll be fascinated. You can see these vehicles on our auction today. We've had all sorts walk in. Very old cars, very new cars, lightly damaged, heavily damaged. You got to field it all. What the insurance companies are looking for is the one vendor that they can turn to for every vehicle. Some of those are lightly damaged. Some of those are going to auction at a high price point to a buyer that's looking to pay that and do what they want to with the vehicle. Others are very old, very damaged, inoperable, or worse than that. It all comes through the door. We find the right buyer for it, and we move it on through.
But you probably know the sweet spot, which is what? The vehicle, kind of like in the video. It's got some medium to major damage,
Yeah.
but it's still a run and drive and you can ship it as is, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair. As Dan said earlier, about 35 or 40% of the vehicles go international. Those will really all be going to a rebuilder. The other 65% are going to stay domestically in the US. There's some rebuilders here in the US, but the vast majority of that 60 to 65% is going to go to a parts recycler. So the sweet spot, the median, is going to be a vehicle generally in the 6 to 8 years old kind of range, sell for an average maybe $3,000 to $4,000 or so. But there's a wide range of variation in there. You'll have vehicles come through for $100. You'll have vehicles come through for $50,000, $75,000 or more. But that median, there's a lot of good industry data that companies like CCC and others publish. That median is around the 6 to 8 year kind of range.
Wow,
Jay,
that's
if I may,
yeah.
I'd like to add one thing to Peter's point. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and
Yeah.
there are needs for every vehicle in every condition. We have an entire segment at the low end. We have an entire segment in the medium end and in the high end. And we market to those buyers differently. We market to recyclers one way. We market to domestic rebuilders another way. We market to the foreign buyer completely differently because their needs are different. And yet we have the ability to make the market for any vehicle anywhere in the world.
I'm going to guess that there are some vehicles then that are high-end vehicles. They've been totaled out, and there's a buyer or a few thinking, "Man, this thing's a gold mine."
Yeah.
How often does that happen? Often?
Every day.
10% of the time?
No,
Every
there's,
day?
there's
Every day?
always people looking at those cars, Jay. Every day they're looking. In countries like the Middle East, I spent the last year actually as chief operating officer at Salvato Auctions in Dubai, working to help implement best practices and help their auction grow. And they're buying all of these high-end or medium-range cars with lighter damage, and they're being repaired and sent out to other countries. Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Oman. Buyers come from all around to buy the vehicles that come in. There are daily auctions in the Middle East. There's daily auctions in other countries. Georgia, the country of Georgia, is another big distribution country for these cars. And then you've got your whole domestic buyer base here of all the recyclers and rebuilders of cars that stay in the US and are sold on a rebuilt title. Excellent quality cars after they're rebuilt, met to standards, inspected, and remarketed. So there are literally buyers for every car. We enjoy doing business with all of them and helping all of them save money on auction fees.
So
Yeah, I
that-
think to add on that, Jay, like one thing that I'm sure you talk about and think about on this podcast, just the trends in the automotive industry as vehicles are becoming new vehicles rolling off the line are becoming increasingly connected, increasingly semi-autonomous. All of that functionality generally requires expensive componentry and cameras and sensors around the exterior of the vehicle. And so this is like a widely discussed, widely studied macro trend that overlaps nicely with why the rebuilder market domestically or internationally has become a much bigger thing for these totaled vehicles. A lightly impacted vehicle that you look at it and you say, that's really totaled. Well, it's so costly to repair because of how costly those parts are, how much labor rates have gone up in the US. And for all the math that you two were talking about earlier, the insurance company says we're better off totaling this vehicle out versus repairing it. But that's a new, nice car with a lot of nice connected features, nice semi-autonomous features, where the economic value on that, domestically or internationally, is significant. So it's increasing those gold mines that you're talking about year over year because of those macro trends in the automotive space.
Wow, so you could have, a car that, okay, the cameras aren't going to work and all these different things, but I don't know, goes to an export market overseas, and maybe that market says we don't care about that. This is a great car.
Yeah, I think sometimes if the vehicle can be used still with some of those features deactivated, absolutely. Otherwise, Dan can speak to the ingenuity of buyers who will find a way to switch that all on and introduce a new high quality vehicle into the market that would otherwise be tough to get, because most new cars from the major OEMs are coming into China, Japan, Korea, Western Europe, and US today. And so in any of the other parts of the world, to get access to those vehicles, this is a major way, a major channel to get those vehicles through.
See, aftermarket automotive hacker.
Yeah,
You could
Jay, the guys overseas, they don't care if it's been in an accident and repaired. Many of the cars are repaired. I went to an independent kind of out in the middle of the country in Poland a few years ago to a race that was organized where people could bring their own personal car and they would have races and they could race their car against somebody on an old airfield, on an old airstrip. And if you live in Poland and you just love to have a Ford Mustang GT, well, you can't get one in Poland very easily. They come from America. That's an American car. But they love those cars over there. They love classic American cars. And if you want a car like that, you would think nothing about buying one of those vehicles, putting it back together yourself, knowing how it was repaired, what parts went into it, and you will love that car for a very long time. That's the beauty and magic of what these cars are able to do in the global marketplace.
And then you can set up a YouTube channel called Classic Car Racing in Poland on an airstrip.
Yeah, I have pictures. It's true. Yeah, it's great.
That is awesome.
The biggest, I think, collection of classic American cars is the Power Big Meet, or just the Big Meet. It's in Sweden. It's every year, right around the first weekend of July, and all the classic car enthusiasts will bring their car there and have a big car road rally and car show for days out in the country, and it's a big deal. They love American cars, not just the classics, but even the ones today because of the U.S. spec, because they can buy them at an affordable price and put them back together and extend the life of those vehicles by 10 to 15 years. They can't get enough of that. And again, there's an insatiable need for affordable transportation around the world. There will always be more people who can afford to buy a secondhand car than a brand new car. And this model allows these cars to go back into that ecosystem as a repaired secondhand car that is driven for a long time. And it's very gratifying to see the jobs it creates along the way and the lives it touches for people who are now able to afford a car, whereas before they could not.
It's cool to hear your enthusiasm for this international, used car, insurance vehicle salvage market. Last thing I want to ask you is the joy of titling.
Yeah.
Who wants to talk about that?
Yeah. I'm happy to answer it. So as I mentioned earlier, that's two of the major trends, that have driven the long cycle time, the complication, the pains. I think you're saying it here, Jay, kind of tongue in cheek. The insurance claims process is going to say it probably even more tongue in cheek. Anyone that works on total loss claims from their side has historically been very painful. Getting the lender to release the lien, then getting the title transferred, as I mentioned earlier, physical paperwork, wet ink signatures, different rules in every single state. And so there's a couple of good solutions that have emerged, one of them being the National Digital Title and Clearinghouse through the state of West Virginia, that insurance companies or providers like us, as well as some other segments like lenders, fleets, dealers, can take advantage of that. And what it allows is a title transfer process that's really fit for the market that we're talking about. So we're not requiring titles to be mailed in. You can just get images of the title. We're not requiring wet ink signatures. We can just get documents e-signed. And it's a national digital title clearinghouse. So that means vehicles from any state can come through and be retitled through that. So that's making the vehicle owner, the policyholder claimant experience significantly better. It's cutting weeks, if not a month or two, out of the cycle time end to end, cutting a bunch of costs for the insurance company's point of view and allowing us to move these vehicles through with lower costs on our side, which allows us to offer significantly lower fees both on the seller's and the buyer side, and sell that vehicle through with a title that gets posted directly into your account from the buyer's perspective immediately after you've bought the vehicle. If you ever want it printed and you want that paper title, you can have it, but you're getting a digital title immediately into your account anytime you buy through us. So that's one of the really powerful solutions that we're really happy with, really proud of to be able to be a part of that, and believe that it's a big game changer and it's absolutely the right fit for this market and what's happening on these vehicles.
Dan, anything to add to that before we go to call to action?
No, that's just want to reiterate that those digital titles are accepted in all 50 states and for export. We've actually exported, gone through the export process with our vehicles, and they're accepted by the port authorities. So it's exciting to see that transformation happen. reducing cycle time, and again, minimizing the amount of time we have to hold on to the car, and minimizing the movement, saving the expense of moving it, selling it where it sits, reducing incidental damage in the movement process, and delivering a better product to our buyers. Again, 100% insurance vehicles, moved less often, and sold closer to the date of the accident than anywhere else. Those are really compelling reasons to look at the vehicles that are coming through our system.
It seems like both of you have really thought about many aspects and that you eat, sleep, and breathe this. That's pretty cool. I mean, that's what it's going to take, right?
Yep.
It's exactly what it takes, and that's exactly what we do.
Your first auction, is it, you said Thursday?
Yeah, so the first auction is on Thursday of this week. It opens at 9 a.m. Central Time. That's when bidding is open, and people can submit their proxy bid. That bidding will close on Thursday, August 13th at 9 a.m. Central Time. But we have one caveat. We have a fairness element built into our proxy bid system, that if somebody bids on a vehicle within the last 15 minutes before the auction closes, bidding is automatically extended for another 15 minutes, allowing the then previous high bidder the chance to bid again. And so bidding will then stop when there's no more bidding within a 15-minute window. But again, no sniping, no coming in at the last second to pull the rug out from somebody else. Right. Everybody has a fair chance to
that
pay
old
a fair
eBay
price.
3, 2,
Yes.
bid.
Yeah. We've all been there.
Yeah, exactly.
We've evolved quite a bit, and we don't need that. And our buyers, their time is valuable. Jay, I talk to buyers, they've got 14 computer screens up on the wall. They're watching auctions all day, mindlessly, endlessly, waiting for item 372 to come up for bid. It's a waste of time. Now they can come to Salvato Auctions, look at the inventory, calculate their price, drop the bid, and walk away. Go take care of their business, their family, whatever, and come back and see what they won. It's a much better way to buy cars.
Are you, do you have an app? Are you developing an app to where I can be mobile and I can be in my auction? Is that next?
Yeah, no, our data is all available on desktop and mobile app as well at salvatoauctions.com. It's Salvato, as you see on the background on our backgrounds. Salvatoauctions.com is the website. Everything can be found there, our vehicles. You'll be able to find information about our company, how the auction works, and hope that people will go and investigate that.
And I just put the link in the live chat.
And that's the next thing I want to talk about. For all the ATI listeners, I want to say that if you go to the website, please include the letters at the end, ATI. So it's salvatoauctions.com/ATI, and we will put a $50 credit on your account that you can use toward your first purchase. So a special offer for all the listeners tonight, a $50 credit on your account if you sign up this month, salvatoauctions.com/ATI. You'll have a $50 gift certificate to spend on your first purchase.
That is awesome. Man, thanks for doing that.
You bet. Cool. Happy to be a part of it, Jim. Appreciate you and being able to talk about the thing that we love and how we really try to change, are trying to change this industry from this big duopoly. We think that there's room to carve out a space for someone who's a little more nimble, a little faster, and a little more creative, and not building on the old model of that centralized, expensive overhead model, but a unique digital and more futuristic look at how to move these cars through the system.
I love that. Peter, Dan, thank you so much. Very informative. Let me know, I don't know, send me a note. Let me know. Hopefully, somebody out there, if you want to learn more about Salvato Auctions, and there's a promotion right now, there's a link in the live chat, and you can say it again. What do you get if you click that link?
It's $50. You'll get a $50 bill on your account to use on your first purchase. It's salvatoauctions.com/ATI, and that $50 credit will automatically appear in your account.
That is awesome. Thanks again. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Have a great auction.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jay.
See you guys. Okay.
Bye.
All right, bye. And that is a cut. Okay. That was pretty cool. There's a lot of Man, there's a lot to learn about auctions. And it's not always put a new link, Jay. Okay, so I'm just going to type it out. SalvatoAuctions.com/ATI. And let's see if that works. And, I mean, it popped up for me, but let me know. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for mentioning that. DJ says, how does it work for dealers who aren't authorized to seek salvage in their state? Good question. And my guess is... Really, Jay, you're going to guess? You just had these guys on your show, and you're guessing? My guess is that you go to salvatoauctions.com, and what's cool is, let's say you have a specific question, and maybe you can't get a hold of them. You can put it in my YouTube comments below the video. If you put it in the live chat, I've noticed this about live chat stuff, because it's just me, doing the thing. If you put it in the live chat, it's more of a, hey! But if you have a specific question, need, request, or otherwise, if you put it in the YouTube comments, it's easier for me to tap somebody on the shoulder and say, hey, will you reply to that YouTube comment? And that goes for LinkedIn as well. And I don't know why the show didn't play on LinkedIn tonight. And I've seen this several times now. And it's not a conspiracy. It's not an FBI file. But I don't really know why. YouTube, like, always works. And LinkedIn is spotty. I was live on LinkedIn Thursday. I didn't change my methodology. Really, Jay? That's how you're going to end the show? I do want to thank everybody for saying hello in the live chat. I especially, again, want to thank Dan and Peter for sharing that information about Salvato Auctions. One could argue, well, Jay, doesn't this fall under your sponsorship obvious content? Actually, no. We didn't. This was a free show. There was no money exchanged. I just wanted to learn more about Salvato Auctions, international auctions, and, like, for example, here's a fun fact. 1/3 of vehicle insurance vehicle sales from an salvage auto auction do get exported to other countries. 1/3. I thought it would be higher than that. Anyways, hopefully that link works. DJ, I highly encourage you to go to salvatoauctions.com and see if you can ask that question and or put it in the YouTube comments below. So, what is next? Good question. I'm working on the ATI AI Auto Podcast. Like, we're working on that. We're gonna... I heard a little demo clip today. I was like, what? It's not my voice, but it was very ATI, and it wasn't me talking. So that was really neat. So, cool demo today. Thank you, David. Also, the Learn Car Hauling Business 101 show that I did Thursday with Constantine and Sue. Man, that was a great show. So, between the Dispatcher Training Series and Learn Car Hauling Business 101 for owner-operators, we got some great stuff. And, in fact, people are still hitting the YouTube channel and the website with questions and requests. And that's great. Let's see. So, it's going to be more of that. I guess that's why I brought that up. We're going to be working more on AI and logistics training and then mixing those together. And that's kind of some of the stuff happening this fall. So, if you hate AI and you hate logistics and you love, like, that spoon-fed nonsense, there are so many podcasts for you. But if you like thinking differently, and there's some more truth around the corner you're just not seeing and hearing, and you want to learn that, listen, AI doesn't need to replace you. You could be the one managing AI for your company, for a new company, a new enterprise. Then this is the channel for you. And if you don't mind a little bit of AI in your soup, it's ATI. I try to keep the humanity in AI and automotive. That's, I don't know, whatever. Jay, just end this show. I got the car hauler coming up. I really do appreciate you tuning in. It's hard for me to say goodbye every night when I go live, right? Because it's kind of fun. You know, I do this show. I launched this channel because I thought that, you know what I thought? I thought that once I grew beyond just understanding logistics, basics of logistics, I'm not a logistics expert, but I seem to know quite a bit. And when I was at trade shows is when I really got to really understand what I did and didn't know, and really how much I did or didn't understand other verticals. So I began to learn what I didn't know, which is a powerful thing. So then I was like, well, I'll build this channel where it's the intersection of everybody. And I thought that'd be great. But you know what I learned? Yeah, so there's a lot of people that don't really want other people to learn anything. They don't want it. And in fact, a lot of those people are big wigs at conferences. They don't run the conference. They don't own the conference. But they show up at the conference and start, like, buying up all the real estate. And it's weird. It's really weird. So I'm throttling back on conferences. I'm sure that's no secret. You won't see me at the next one. Or maybe even the one after that. Because I don't know, you know what? I guess I don't belong there. I guess I just belong in my space capsule making this show that, you know, it's no secret that news segment's crazy. But everybody's living this national news information story on an hourly basis, and then they go back into their industry and have to pretend that real life doesn't exist. No, I don't, that makes no sense to me. I am mixing international reality with industry randomness. And I gotta say, what I found is that some of these interviews are amazing. They're so interesting that I watch them back and I enjoy them. And that's the thing about ATI. If I don't like watching it, I'm not frickin' making it. And that's why I talk about all these podcasts. Oh my God, I don't watch them anymore. I don't watch other dumb podcasts anymore. I don't doom scroll through LinkedIn anymore. And if I find myself tempted, like, oh, I'm going to go check LinkedIn again. Oh, somebody sent me a message, and now I'm suddenly scrolling. Nope. I'm out of there. I am not doom scrolling LinkedIn. I am not watching dumb podcasts. I am tuning in to reality, and then I'm taking that and trying to put it back into my own little show about whatever this automotive thing is. And I got to tell you, man, since I've been doing that, since I've been doing kind of this, like, this is like a 2025 ATI acceleration thing. Yeah, I'm much happier with the reality of the content. It's amazing. It's amazing when you mix reality with industry, because that seems to be outlawed. I was talking about the loss of freedom of speech, and man, it is happening. Whew. That's why we need some of this truth serum to work, because if it doesn't, man, the freedom of the press thing, First Amendment, whatever, yeah, we don't have that anymore. We're not going to do that. We're going to do social credits. So until that time, it's ATI. I'm not going live every week. I'm not even going live every other week. I don't know exactly what happens next. It could be once a month. It could be every 3 weeks. So if you see that little ATI is live thing pop up on your phone, device, or what have you, please tune in, say hello, pop into the live chat, leave me a comment. And in the meantime, hey man, let me know what podcast is bothering you. That'd be interesting. You don't have to put it in the comments. You can email me, autotransportintel@gmail.com. But I really would love to know, what podcast bothers you most? Let me know. And if it's ATI, so be it. That's reality. Here comes the car hauler, everybody. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.